Good morning, fifth graders. This is your art teacher, Miss Broyhill, formerly Miss Ledford. I hope you guys are doing okay. I'm going to video this lesson for you. It's called an optical illusion, and it's using straight lines and coming together and making it look curved. So you will need, I'm using just copier paper, but whatever kind of paper you have is fine. You will need to fold your paper in half like a hamburger fold, and your paper should be about 6 inches by 4 inches. Let me check and see. I think that's about right. Well, nope, I missed it. We got about 8.5 inches by about 5.25 inches, but that's fine. So you're going to use a half sheet of paper and cut it in half. I've already got this one cut, so it's ready. So what you're going to be doing, you got to use a ruler, and I hope you guys have got a ruler to use this with. A ruler, a piece of paper, obviously, and I'm using colored pencils. But if you don't have colored pencils, whatever you got to add color to this is fine. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using the metric side of my ruler to measure with, because we got to measure all the way around and make marks on the outer edge of this piece of paper. So I'm going to start on the longest side, and you know the metric size is usually got the mm or the cm, which is millimeter or centimeter, and it's easier to measure with the metric system when doing art than trying to do inches, because you have to go into a ½ inch, quarter inch, and all that, and that's just too much. It's just easier to use the metric system, just so much more simpler. So what we will do, we're going to put the edge of the ruler on the top edge, left hand side of your paper, and leave enough room at the top just to make a mark. So we're going to measure every 5 centimeters. So here is 5, 10, 15, and 20. So you get to do a little bit of math in this assignment. Rotate your paper around, put your ruler on the edge, leave just a little tiny little spot to show to mark your marks for your measuring. So we're going to go 5, 10, so we're only going to get 2 marks on that side. Then we're going to rotate the paper again, and we're going to measure again every 5 centimeters. And rotate it one more time. And I do want you to, on this corner right here at the end, I do want you to put a mark there and on that corner. But don't worry about the corner where there's a really close mark right here. Don't worry about that one or that one. Let's get those 2 other corners. Okay, so we're finished measuring for right now. I want you to, we're going to put 2 dots somewhere in the middle of the paper. And the way I do it the peace sign, and just put down 2 fingers, and that's where my 2 dots are going to be. But you can put them anywhere you want to. I'm just going to put them real basic here in the center. And I'm not left-handed, so it's hard to make my marks once doing the 2 little dots. But I could use my other hand. That's fine. So 2 little dots, just big enough for you to see. I want you to call one of them dot number 1, and then the other one dot number 2. So what you will do, you're going to be measuring, well, not measuring, you're going to be drawing a line from dot number 1 only, and drawing a line and touching each one of these marks that we put on the outside of the paper. So we're going to be rotating the paper. That's the way I do it. That's the easiest way to do it. I always start in the upper left-hand corner, because that's how we learn how to read. So that's how I always start when I do this assignment. So I put the corner of my ruler on dot number 1 and line it up with that first mark there. And you always want to use a really sharp pencil. This one's not that sharp, but I'm going to use it anyway. If you have mechanical pencils, that's great. You don't have to worry about sharpening them. So hold down your ruler really tight. This is where you want to put the pressure, because that's where you're going to be making the mark. So draw a line, rotate your paper. I go backwards. I rotate backwards. Line it up. Draw a line, go off the edge of the paper. Don't stop on the edge of this mark. Take it all the way off the edge. So it's going to kind of look like, if you remember back in 4th grade when we did the 1-point perspective, the road that goes off into the distance. You know how we had that 1 point and the road, all the lines led to that 1 dot. So this is going to look similar to that because it's got some perspective in it. Perspective makes things look like they have depth in them, or space, or makes it look realistic. So that's one term in art that you need to know, is perspective. It's how you see things, and you may have heard that word in other subjects in art, or subjects at school, not just art. So just keep that in mind. This is perspective. Okay, we're almost around. And I'm going to try to speed up on dot number 2 because we're going to do the same thing on dot number 2. And it's going to get a little confusing, but you got to try to keep up with that dot and going all the way around and connecting them. So I'm going to work on dot number 2, and I'm still going to line it up with the upper left-hand corner mark. And it's going to look kind of like, put you in the mind of a spider web in a way. And your ruler, you got to press down right in the center where this is all your pressure. That's where you got to press down. And they might crisscross a little bit, but they start to look kind of, some people say it looks kind of like a spider web. But once we get all the way around, we're going to pick a color. It doesn't matter what color you want to choose. We're just going to do I'm just going to use red. But you can pick whatever color you want. This assignment, you could do 2 colors. I'm only going to show you how to do 1 color. But if you choose to do a second color, all you've got to do is, when you get ready to add the color, is whatever spots are open that are white or uncolored, of course. You just go in there with your second color. But like I said, I'm only going to do 1 color. So I'm almost there. I do want to say that I miss you. I cannot wait till we get back to regular school where you can actually be in the classroom with me, and then I can actually come around and help you with your art. It's kind of hard to teach art when I'm not there to help you, and I'm sure your parents are thinking the same thing. Okay, so now it looks kind of like a spider web. Now when you add the color to it, that's when it looks like it's really got that perspective going on, and it actually kind of looks like it's curving. The lines look like they're curving, and that's where it's an optical illusion. We know that all the lines that we drew were straight, but once you add the color to it is when they look kind of like they're curving and going off, kind of like this is like a disco floor, and that's what some kids say it looks like, the disco floor. So it looks kind of like a floor and going off into maybe 2 hallways is what it kind of looks like. So when you do the color, pick your color that you want to do, you have to think about like a checkerboard. A checkerboard has a pattern, or a checkered flag. Every other spot or square has that color in it, or red or black if you're doing the checkerboard. So you got to think about, you've got to skip every other space when you color it, and you have to stay on a row. If you skip around, it usually doesn't end up looking good. But you're allowed a few mistakes on it, but most of the time we can fix them. So I want you to think about each row, like this is a whole row right here from the outer edge toward the dot. That's a row, this is a row, this is a row. Even though it's short, you've got to keep that in mind whenever you're coloring. Is coloring every other space, whatever color you choose, every other one. And then when you skip over, you've got to do the opposite. So the colors should touch on the corner. They shouldn't be beside each other. Like this wouldn't be red and this wouldn't be red. This would be red and this would stay white, and they're beside each other. But we got to think about being beside each other in the rows going away from or toward that dot. So I'm going to start right here. Here's my dot. Here is almost, it's almost a triangle. Color it in. And neatness counts, because the neater it is, the better it looks. So this is the same row. Leave this one open and then color this one in. I'll just do a couple of rows for you on the video, and then I will send you an image of one that is totally finished with one color. But like I said, if you want to come in later and do a second color, that's perfectly fine. If you do a second color, make sure it is a color that is opposite. When I say opposite, I mean if you choose a dark color, use a light color. Like if you used purple, that's a dark color. The opposite was going to be yellow, which is a light color, or you could use orange. So you got to think about it. You could do warm versus cool colors if you remember that from art. Okay, so there's one row. I can't squeeze in another one here. So I'm going to move over and get this row. I can't have red beside each other, so that's got to remain open, but this one here would be red. Okay. I'm not going to color in that whole spot. I'm just going to try to lead you along so you can think about what needs to be colored in and what you leave open. So if I color this one in, these two obviously are going to be left open. And see, they can't be beside each other. Red can't be beside red. So I'm going to go this way so you can see how you would do this row. So if this one's red and I move over this way, this one's got to stay white. So this one would be red. This one would stay white, and this one would be red. So do you see how the pattern is going to emerge and make it look, the color is what makes it look 3D and kind of tricks your eyes, because in your mind you know that you used straight lines, but once you add the color to it, it actually looks kind of like it's curving or going into space or into some kind of space down a hallway is what it kind of reminds me of, which I think is kind of neat. And this lesson, I got this lesson from a high school math teacher when I worked at high school and taught art at high school one year. And she gave me this lesson. She said it's a math lesson, but it's also an art lesson. And I don't know about you, but when I sit around and just if I'm just coloring in a coloring sheet, it's just like you're only thinking about what you're working on, which is kind of like a good thing to do nowadays. We've got so much going on in the world. It's nice to just chill out and think about coloring in some spaces and not thinking about anything else, because you have to slow down and get in the corners here, and that's what you got to focus on. It's about focusing. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, but you see how this would be my next row. The next row, this is one whole row, because you see how it overlaps a little bit, and that's fine. Like right here, let me calculate. Red, red, red. That whole spot there is going to end up being white, and that tiny one's going to be red. And then switch over to this side. So you can see it's already looking like it's got some perspective to it. So I'm going to leave this one here at this point in the video, but I am going to send you a picture of one that is totally finished, so that'll kind of help you to see how it should look when you get finished. But it's all about, get to use a little bit of math, get to use some perspective and some opposite colors, light versus dark colors, if you choose to do two colors. If I were going to do two colors on this one, I would probably do, yellow would look good against it, but green is also the opposite color on the color wheel of red. So those two colors will look together, which those are they call those the Christmas colors, and they look good together too. So I hope you have fun with this. Don't get stressed out about it if you mess up. Just grab another piece of paper, hopefully, and do it again. The more you practice at it, the better you'll get. And I have taught you how to hold the ruler correctly so it doesn't slide around. So I'm hoping you'll have some success, and send me a picture of it on Dojo, and I will talk to you later. Have a good day.